And welcome back to Newsmax Now. I'm Bill Tucker, and I'm joined by William Jacobson. He is professor of law. He is director of the Security Law Clinic at Cornell Law School, and he's also the founder of LegalInsurrection.com, which always has the sort of mild radical feel to it. Dear William, good to have you on. Happy Tuesday.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, let's start where we need to start, and that is the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court had a decision yesterday, which I think disappointed a lot of people, in that they announced that Trump could, in effect, go ahead and implement his travel ban. They did put certain restrictions on there, saying that people who have ties to the United States, a business in the United States, or family in the United States are excluded from the ban. But otherwise, it survived pretty much in whole. You wrote a piece on your website, Legal Insurrection, called SCOTUS reinstates substantially all of Trump's travel order. Were you happy with the way the court handled this?
I was happy, yes. I think it's the right decision. I had argued that Trump shouldn't have even abandoned the first travel order and watered it down, so to speak, because whether you like the policy or you don't, it's within the power of the presidency to do that. So I felt that it was extremely important that he ultimately take this to the Supreme Court, because I was convinced that they would uphold the power of the presidency to control national security, control who comes into our country. And that's so far pretty much what they did. To the extent I'm disappointed, I agree with the three dissenters that they should have upheld the travel order in its entirety. Instead, they parsed out, as you indicated, an exception that people who have what they call bona fide ties to the United States, and they elaborated a little bit on that, but legitimate, honest ties are not subject to the travel order. That doesn't mean they automatically get to enter the country. People need to understand that. But they would have to be dealt with on an individual situation as opposed to a prohibition on a countrywide basis.
Yeah, I am not a lawyer, but based on the research that I looked at in a piece I wrote for our Facebook website, it seemed to me clear that the president had the authority to do it. It's hardly the first time a president's issued this kind of order. What puzzled me and intrigued me, and what I've been wanting to talk to you about, is the willingness of not just one court, but several courts to entertain language outside of the document itself. I thought that we were pretty much limited to, as you call it, the four corners. There's the words, there's the language, there we go. But instead, there was a willingness to start bringing in language from outside of that document. I find that deeply disturbing, and I think we're like bordering on legal chaos. Am I wrong?
Well, I think this, I describe what the Supreme Court did the other day as really a slapdown to the lower courts, that they issued this ruling on a preliminary basis, which basically said, lower courts, what you did was wrong. And not only that, 9 justices, every single justice of the Supreme Court said that. Now, they said it in varying degrees. 9 of them agreed with this per curiam, this bench decision, that the order was too broad, and 3 of them wanted to go further. But not a single justice, not even Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the leading liberal light on the court, was supportive of what the lower courts did. And that's why I think this was a tremendous slapdown. I hope the courts will learn their lesson from this. I'm not confident that they will. Certainly, they can't overrule the Supreme Court on this issue, but there's going to be a lot of similar issues where judges may be inclined to take a very political view of the situation. Of course, they wouldn't call it political, but I think in light of this Supreme Court decision, it's pretty clear that it was. So I don't know if it's legal chaos, but what the lower courts did was really pretty outrageous. I think that most legal commentators recognize that, and everybody expected the Supreme Court to do what it ultimately did, which is say, no, you cannot strip the presidency of its constitutional and statutory power to control who enters the country.
Yeah. And it just scares me, the idea that it's like, I know what's written here, but I know that you didn't mean what's written here, which is what I mean by legal chaos, which is so strange. I want to jump really quickly. You don't have much time left. There's been a lot of speculation about whether Justice Kennedy, in fact, is going to retire or not. We don't know that. I'm not really interested in engaging in that thought. But I am interested in sort of your thoughts about Chief Justice Roberts. You think he's basically the swing vote waiting in the wings for the day that Kennedy or anybody else leaves?
Well, assuming Kennedy is the next to retire, and like you say, we don't know that. He's 81 years old, but Ruth Ginsburg is 83 years old. They can stay as long as they want to stay, and then they're fit to stay. So we don't know, but as of now, Kennedy has been the swing vote. If he retires, presumably Trump will appoint somebody similar to Gorsuch, who will be a solid conservative vote. Therefore, you're going to have 4 solid conservatives on the court, 4 solid liberals, and Chief Justice Roberts, who we used to think of as a solid conservative, in the middle. And we know that he voted with the Obama administration on Obamacare. He's had other decisions which conservatives are more happy with. But the point is, he will now be the balance on the court. And I think that's going to be very interesting, because up until now, it's been Kennedy.
Yeah, it is fascinating. And of course, you know, the speculation about Kennedy, of course, is fueled by the worst Democratic fears, which is that President Trump will get a second and maybe even a third appointment on this court before he leaves town, which, you know, the kind of stuff the Democrats have nightmares about. Thank you, William. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Take care.
You betcha. For the rest of you, remember to keep it here with Newsmax TV and stay connected with us at Newsmax.com.